Blessings, Cancer, or anyone who is wanting to tap in to the consciousness of the DMT alchemist. So let's go ahead and get started with your reading for March of 2024. Okay, so your first card is the 32. I love this card. Okay, so this is the space that you're aware. I really feel like you are kind of like almost at, so you've been going through some shifts, you've been going through some changes, and those changes are starting to feel natural, right? So you're over the kind of trying to find yourself and change. And now you have become the change, if that makes sense. So you've become what it is that you've been working on changing. And not only that, but you are truly, it's kind of like, what are the phases of changing? First, we think about it, then we have to kind of integrate into the change where we have to be really conscious about creating that change. Then we kind of embody the change where it's not as hard. We are making conscious choices and it's not like we're overriding our programming as much. It feels more natural. Then we become the change where we don't have to think about it and we're just living it, and we don't have to use a lot of conscious awareness to live it because it is who we have become. That's what I'm getting with this card, is that you are really, you have become the change. So let's just leave it at that. And then the DMT. Okay, so this is the change has created structure or form. So it really, like, I like to call this where you have created a shift for a long enough period of time that you become the change. That's what I'm feeling in this card. You have become the change. You have become, you're consciously unconscious. You use consciousness enough that the body is just holding the consciousness for you. Okay, I won't go on. I feel like if that resonates, awesome. Just remember this is a collective reading and not everything is going to resonate. So if it doesn't, tap into your intuition on kind of what maybe this does pertain for you. Okay, so then we're going to go into the reflection piece, which is, yes, as people are seeing that you have mastered something consciously, you have truly become something different, right? And that you are seen in that light, like people are seeing this new you and they are honoring it, they're respecting it. This could even be the way that you're seeing yourself, right? You're seeing yourself as, wow, like I really did this. I overcame my programming and I became something different. This is what it is to evolve. This is what it is to be, walk the path of consciousness outside of your programming. And either you're reflecting this with your own wisdom and you're seeing how you did that, or others are also seeing how you did that. And it could be a little bit of both, but tap into what resonates with you. Let me see if I'm getting anything else here. I'm also seeing a little bit in this with this like bullseye kind of card, and then seeing the 2 with the 9. So 2 is reflection of seeing everything in the frequency of the divine. This is the way that you are continuing to dial this in and really hold mastery in what it is to evolve beyond programming. Let's see what DMT card. Okay, so you got the 5 again. So this is going to be kind of an ongoing evolution I'm getting. Like now that you've figured out how to actually move beyond a behavior through tapping into consciousness outside of your programming, you are wanting to just apply it to every part of your life because you realize, oh, wow, this is how you do it. This is the fastest way to create change in a very positive and enlightening way. Okay, so let's go to what you're not seeing. So you have the embodiment of the 8. So even if you are experiencing maybe a little bit of static, though I don't really feel like there's much, know that you're you're on the right path. Let me just feel into this. So when I tapped into it immediately, I saw this is so bizarre, but I saw an image of someone that was just like stripping down. They're just like going down to their bare nakedness, and not in a way that they felt exposed. So what I'm getting with that is full transparency, right? And so what you're not seeing is that you truly are moving into transparency. And that's a beautiful thing. That takes a lot of courage and a lot of humility and a lot of work. And in that, with your transparency, it's like things are just moving right through you. So you may be like, why am I not reacting to this anymore? Why am I not as up and down emotionally? And that's what I'm getting with this beautiful card, is that you have embodied what it is to be transparent in the frequency of 963. And there, hold on. In that transparency and willingness to show up as a clear channel of source intelligence, you will always be given support there. So you can rest in, no matter what may be going on around you, that you are supported. And if you start to have thoughts that aren't in agreement with that, no is all, that's just your programming. Because if you move back into this transparency, all is well. And not only is it well, but there's no judgment of it being otherwise. And this isn't a space of convincing yourself that it's all okay. This is different. This is an embodiment of feeling supported and loved. Okay, and then you're getting the 7 with that, which is, I really just feel like it's time to walk the talk, right? It's time to embody what you know intellectually and experiencing it through the body, like meaning it's not just something you're thinking anymore, it's something that you know on in a heart space level, like in this deep knowing within your soul. And I'm going to leave it at that, because I feel like this is a very intimate space between you and the intelligence of that transparency. And the more transparent and the more that you surrender into that, you're on the right path. You're supported, that it doesn't matter what's happening around you. This intimate relationship with source, you're always given very clear guidance. And in that guidance, you're living a life of transparency. All right, well, just leave it at that. Okay, so moving into the co-creation space, you're getting so you had this avatar of the 7. So you have the DMT code 7 here, which is messenger, teacher. It's guidance outside of programming. So that's really what I'm getting. So when you are maybe struggling with, well, with anything, let's just say with life, if something comes in and it's kind of knocking you off your rocker a little bit, rest in that space, that clear guidance will come. That's where you go first. You don't go asking for other people's opinions. You don't go and talk about all your problems so that people can agree with you, or so this is the scenario I'm seeing in this. It's like something happens, and it's almost like so when you're in the space of transparency, you have very little identity, right? And then when something happens and it hits a program, your ego immediately wants to latch onto that so that it has something to identify in. And then you have the story around what that program is triggering in you. So in order to make that a strong identity, you have a choice. Because if you're going to move forward with the story and the identity of the ego, then the first reaction would be to share it with someone. So you might call your mom, you might call your friend and like, oh my gosh, blah, blah, blah did this, or blah, blah, blah did this. And you have to strengthen your story so that the ego is fueled and gets energy. The other way is that you recognize, give me a second, I need to get a drink. So clearly that's not the way because I almost lost my voice just talking about it. Okay, so the other way, which feels so much better, is you stay in this place of transparency and you're like, oh, this is really interesting. This just hit my programs of this situation. What do I need to see? And you're not looking at it from the ego or from the programmed observation. You're seeing it for what it is. And then once you see the information, you transcend it. So then you move into the frequency of the divine to see what is this really like. And even if you're not looking for information to feed the ego in that point, you're just staying curious. And it may be that you don't get information in that moment, but it will come and it's going to bring you back into that place of the fourth level of consciousness. Okay. So this is exactly what I was just saying. Your co-creation space is to recognize when you're triggered, and what you do with that trigger is everything. The choices that you make with after you're triggered is everything. Do you choose to let the trigger happen and stay in that place of transparency until you move through it to a place where you're seeing it through the frequency of the intelligence? Or do you feed the ego and go and either create a big story in your head around it to strengthen the ego, or go and share your story with somebody else to strengthen the ego? You know what I'm talking about. Then the code that you're getting to support this is holding consciousness outside of the trigger itself or the program itself. Such a beautiful collaboration. But this is a choice because this is the collaboration space. So it's a choice of whether or not you choose to co-create this scenario with the intelligence within you, source intelligence. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, so we're getting the 4. This is particles of possibility. So a new foundation, this new space that you have embodied is going to continue to get stronger. You're well on your way to really self-actualizing in what it is to be transparent, or what it is to live in the frequency of source intelligence. And this may not be every part of your life, but you're going to master it in one part of your life so that you can start to bring it into all parts of your life. And that's really what I'm getting in this card is if you can really surrender and be transparent, allowing information to come through the intelligence within you, mastering that consciously, knowing that you're only going to be able to master it to a certain point. That's why this 4 is in particles of possibility, is that it's always going to uplift you, or it's always going to bring you into a higher frequency. So don't get locked into any one truth. This is saying we're going to hold you. The intelligence is going to guide you. It's going to always give you a place to stand in, but it's never going to be the way you experienced being, feeling like you're in a foundation or that you're grounded, right? That feeling of the past way of doing that is gone. Your new foundation is change. Your new foundation is that there's always going to be a next, and that the journey in itself is the practice. It's not a destination. And I know you hear that all the time, but really listen to what that is. Because if we're focused on a destination, we're focused on something through our programming. If we're focused in the moment of the journey and attuning to the frequency of source intelligence consciously, then we are bioquantum. That is how we get there. Okay, I said that is how we get there, but you have to remember you already are. All you're doing is you're using your tool of consciousness to become the intelligence of source. Okay, and then here's your one. So you're always going to have a foundation of starting something new. It's not about the destination. It's about the process of attuning consciousness to the intelligence. I'm leaving it at that. Okay, and then you have another one. So what is your focus? Your focus is on what is, it's like, it's, so what I'm seeing is like activate a frequency, move into that frequency consciously, focus on that, and have that be your only focus. It's not about where is it taking me? What am I going to get out of it? It's not any of that. It's just, oh, okay. I turned on a frequency, and now my job is to listen and do. And I have this extreme focus on how to do that. And by doing that, it's 1 to 10. There's no interference. And you're headed towards that. And I love how you have the 8 here and then the 8 here. So this is the magic, right? This is the magic. This is living the miracle pattern. When you're able to hear the download of this needs to shift or needs to be done, you just know it, right? And then you just shift that, you move right into the frequency of the manifester, the magician. You live the miracle pattern because you're just in listen and do. All right, beautiful Cancers, or anyone that's tapping into this reading to feel the guidance behind the alchemist. All right, here we go. With hands on heart, just feeling into your heart space as you fill your heart with that white blue light, attuning your quantum portal to the frequency of 963, just feeling every cell of your body moving into a higher frequency, activating source intelligence. As we activate the DNA codes, the DMT codes of 4, 5, 7, 11, 1, 8. Just feeling that as it activates in every cell of your body, upgrading your software system, holding the frequency of full transparency in the frequency of 963 as you attune consciously to source intelligence. Sending you all so much love and a great big hug until we meet again.